You ever feel like you're living in a bad sitcom, except no one's laughing, especially not you? That was me, standing on my own lawn, hands raised while a cop asked me to calm down, because apparently I was a repeat offender. Offender of what, you ask? Mowing my lawn too early. Trimming a bush that wasn't HOA approved. Parking my truck in my own driveway. Sounds ridiculous? That's because it is ridiculous. The real kicker? I'm not even in the HOA, that's right. I live outside the jurisdiction of that rule-happy nightmare. But somehow, Kareen and her HOA army keep acting like I'm public enemy number one. And what came next? Turned into a war one never asked for, but definitely wasn't about to lose. It all started one quiet Saturday morning. Birds chirping, coffee in hand, I was ready to take care of a little yard work. Nothing major, just mowing the grass before the sun made it unbearable. I cranked up the mower around 7:45 a.m., thinking I'd beat the heat and still have my whole weekend ahead of me. Then I saw her. Kareen. Her robe was still half open, curlers in her hair, one slipper on, storming across the cul-de-sac like a woman. On a mission from the gods of suburban vengeance, I paused the mower, gave her a polite nod, and tried to go about my business. Nope. "Excuse me," she barked. "You're in violation of HOA rules. No yard work before 9 a.m. I blinked at her, confused, then calmly replied, "Ma'am, I don't live in the HOA. My property's not even under your association." She crossed her arms, narrowed her eyes like I just insulted her family name, and said, "Well, you're in this neighborhood and we have standards." I shrugged. "With all due respect, your rules don't apply to me." You'd think that'd be the end of it, right? Not with Karen. Nope. She stomped back home, muttering something about teaching me a lesson. 20 minutes later, flashing lights, a patrol car pulls up. Cop steps out and says, "Sir, we received a noise complaint about landscaping equipment." I explained the situation, showed him the boundary map of the HOA, even pointed to the property marker stone in my yard clear as day. I was not in their jurisdiction. The officer was understanding, even apologized for the confusion, and drove off. Karen, on her porch, arms folded with a smug smile like she'd just taken down a mafia boss. I tried to laugh it off. One Karen call? I could deal with it, but it didn't stop there. Next week, she reported me for running an unlicensed business because I had my nephew overwashing his car in my driveway. Another cop visit. Another awkward conversation. Then, it was a fire hazard complaint because I left a bundle of trimmed branches by the curb. Then a code violation for having holiday lights up past New Year's. Never mind, it was January. Third, each time the police showed up, polite but clearly growing tired of the nonsense, I kept my cool. I documented everything. And still, she persisted. One afternoon, I walked out to find an HOA notice taped to my front door. Bright red lettering. Big HOA logo, bold words. Final warning, cease all non-compliant activity. I laughed out loud. Then I got mad. I marched right over to the HOA office, which, mind you, was inside a rented office unit next to a dry cleaner, and demanded to speak to whoever was in charge. They gave me a clipboard-pushing man named Craig, who looked like he practiced power poses in the mirror. I said, "Look, Craig, I'm not part of your HOA. You have no authority over my property. Your board can't keep harassing me, and Karen needs to be reined in." He looked down his nose at me and replied, "Your property is adjacent to our community, which means you impact our property values. We expect you to uphold certain standards." "Expect all you want," I said. "That doesn't give you legal rights." He didn't like that. 2 days later, I had a citation notice in my mailbox from the city, not the HOA. Turns out Karen had filed a report with the Municipal Code Enforcement Board, claiming I was violating local ordinances. Lies. All of it. But because it came from a homeowner association, concerned for the neighborhood, the city decided to investigate, And that's when I realized ... This wasn't just annoying anymore. It was personal. Karen and the HOA were using every loophole they could to try to force me into compliance with rules I never agreed to. I wasn't just mowing lawns or parking cars. I was threatening the iron grip Karen had on the entire street. I started gathering evidence. I kept logs, took photos, even installed a security cam on my front door that caught Karen walking over and slipping flyers in my mailbox, which, by the way, is a federal offense. Then came the straw that broke the camel's back. A police officer showed up again, but this time, it wasn't just a noise complaint. Karen had accused me of brandishing a weapon during a neighborhood dispute. That's right, she told the police. I'd threatened her with a rake. Thankfully, I had video footage showing me nowhere near her, minding my business while she screamed obscenities across the street. The cop watched the footage and sighed. "Sir, I'm sorry. It's clear you're being harassed." He left. But that wasn't enough for me anymore. I contacted a lawyer, not to sue, yet just to send a certified cease and desist letter. To Karen, to the HOA, to Craig, I attached boundary maps, copies of their notices, police reports, even timestamps from my security footage. The letter outlined that any further harassment would result in legal action. Harassment, defamation, trespassing, you name it. I sent the letter on a Thursday. By Monday, silence. No more calls. No more flyers. Karen avoided eye contact like I was radioactive. Just when I thought it was over, something even crazier happened. And that is where this story gets really wild. I should have known it was too quiet. Karen doesn't go down without a fight, and I learned the hard way that HOA warriors like her don't take being legally told no very well. So there I was, enjoying what felt like my first peaceful week in months. No flyers, no cops, no citations, just peace. The air felt cleaner. The grass even looked greener. Until Thursday morning rolled around. I was pouring coffee when I heard the unmistakable beep beep of a utility truck backing up. I walked outside to find 3 guys with clipboards and fluorescent vests walking along my front property line. One was planting little orange flags in my lawn. Another was marking something with spray paint. I approached calmly and asked, "Morning. Fellas, what's all this?" One of the guys glanced at me and said, "Oh hey sir, just surveying for the utility company. Looks like there's a pending construction permit for this address. Says you requested a streetlight pole upgrade and sidewalk narrowing." I blinked. I didn't request anything. He frowned, double-checked the clipboard, and showed me the paperwork. The requester name? Karen Thompson. She'd forged a permit in my name. I was stunned, but I wasn't even mad at this point. I was impressed. The pettiness had evolved into full-blown criminal creativity. I stopped them before any damage was done, called the city's permit office, and they confirmed it. A permit had been submitted under my address, digitally signed, using a fake email. It took me all of 10 minutes to figure out the IP address didn't match mine. I called my lawyer. Again, we added identity fraud and false impersonation to the growing list of potential charges. I even got a detective assigned to the case. Now it was real, but Karen wasn't finished. Oh no, that weekend, I threw a small BBQ, just family, my sister, her kids, my cousin, and a couple neighbors who actually liked me. Everyone was having a good time. Music was soft, kids were tossing a football, burgers were sizzling. Then it happened. Police showed up. Again, noise complaint, the officer said. Also, someone reported public intoxication and drug use. I laughed in disbelief. I literally had a table of juice boxes and a cooler of bottled water. The craziest thing happening at that moment was my niece doing cartwheels in the grass. But here's the twist. My doorbell camera caught exactly who called it in. Karen. She walked out of her house, phone in hand, clearly filming herself as she dialed Then she paced in her driveway, narrating her complaint like it was a live stream. Yes, I'm at 107 Redwood Lane. They're blasting music, smells like weed, and there are minors present. This time, it was enough. I showed the footage to the officers, both of whom had been at my place at least twice before. One of them actually said, "Yup, we've had enough of this too." I gave a full statement, and that Monday, Karen got a knock on her door. The detective had seen enough. He issued a formal warning and started compiling the case for filing charges if she pulled another stunt. That should have been the grand finale. But Karen, being Karen, decided to get the HOA involved one last time. That Wednesday, I received an official HOA packet in the mail. Glossy paper, formal logo, a cover letter with fake legalese. It was titled, "Notice of Neighborhood Tribunal, Required Attendance." What? A tribunal? Who did they think they were? The Supreme Court? I read through it. It said I was being summoned to a community accountability session to address infractions against neighborhood harmony. It even threatened fines to be levied against your property. I actually burst out laughing. I don't live in the HOA. I don't pay their dues. They have no legal ground to issue fines. But they sure tried. They'd even printed out mock violations, excessive patriotism for flying an American flag too large, visual disruption for having a camper parked on my property for 2 days while my cousin visited, and my favorite, aggressive landscaping techniques. I took that packet straight to my lawyer, this time. We went nuclear. We filed a restraining order against Karen for harassment, false reporting, and identity fraud. We also drafted a civil lawsuit against the HOA for defamation, trespassing, and emotional distress. But we didn't stop there. We went public. One of my good friends works in local media. He pitched the story to his editor, titled it, "Man Harassed by HOA He's Not Even Part of." Catchy, right? Within days, the story went viral. News crews showed up. Reporters interviewed me on my lawn. I showed them the maps, the flyers, the permit fraud documents, the videos. Karen's name was never officially mentioned, but let's just say the camera caught her storming into her house when asked for comment. The HOA tried to deny everything. Didn't matter. They got hit with public scrutiny so fast they had to shut down their website's contact form due to complaints. Neighbors who'd been too afraid to speak up suddenly found courage. Turns out, Karen had been terrorizing people for years, enforcing fake rules, reporting families for minor violations, threatening fines that never existed. I was just her latest target, but now I was the one pushing back. At the next HOA board meeting, now packed with angry homeowners, Karen was voted out, not just as a board member. She lost her seat entirely. Then came the lawsuit. The HOA settled out of court. I can't say much about that part, but let's just say my yard's looking extra nice these days thanks to a generous landscaping improvement fund they provided. As for Karen, she ended up moving 3 months later. Word around the neighborhood is she relocated to another gated community out of state. And me? I still mow my lawn at 7:45 on Saturdays. With a grin on my face. Because if there's one thing I've learned, it's that sometimes standing your ground isn't just about proving a point. It's about drawing a line clear and bold right at the edge of your own lawn and reminding folks like Karen that just because you think you run the neighborhood doesn't mean you actually do, because some of us read the fine print. Some of us don't get pushed around, and when you mess with the wrong neighbor, you might just end up mowing your own reputation into the ground.